Welcome to Who Taught You, a platform where we discuss a plethora of subjects about who taught you. Today I have Andre.Williams with me, but before we get into our subject about who taught you about entrepreneurship, I want you to first hit the button below for a like, subscribe, or share. Hi, Andre, how you doing today?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing great. And I wanted to ask you, who taught you about entrepreneurship?
I think at first, well, I don't think I know for a fact, like it was my mom, right? My mom coming from another country or from Jamaica, seeing her work hard, and she had several streams of income, and she also was an entrepreneur in which she started several businesses, and watching her go about it, how she started it up, and having a sense of having your own. She was definitely the first person that influenced me and taught me about it.
And what is your business? What do you currently do?
I'm currently a music executive for the Stash House. We're a distribution and publishing company under Sony Orchard.
Okay. Now, were you always an entrepreneur, or did you ever have like a 9 to 5?
Yeah, I've had several 9 to 5s. I had some 9 to 5s. I don't think entrepreneurship was not something that I really planned on doing. I think I had to be mature, work my way up to do it. But I did work 9 to 5s. I think after several jobs, I realized like I wanted to march to the beat of my own drum, right, and do things that were going to benefit myself, answer to myself. So that definitely worked. I had to mature first before I got into the lane and said, I want to be an entrepreneur. I can even actually do this and do it successfully.
And I know you and I know your family, and I want to ask you, because I know that in your family there are multiple entrepreneurs, right? And so did any of them influence you as far as becoming an entrepreneur other than your mom?
I don't think nobody sat down and said, hey, you should be an entrepreneur, but influenced me from the point of me seeing hard work pay off. Yes. I think like when your family, you start watching, you start seeing everybody get into their own lanes and how people move with their professions, or even if they do work a 9 to 5, how they go about it. If they do have their own jobs or they are entrepreneurs, their professionalism and the diligence that goes into that. So I don't think anybody sat down and said, hey, this is something you should do. We were always taught to have our own, save, do those things so we can make sure we have a sufficient life and we live well, right? But I think from seeing other entrepreneurs and watching their success and watching the satisfaction of them have their own businesses and those businesses be successful and thrive influenced me visually to say, okay, this is what I want to do.
Okay. Now, I remember some years ago, because we've known each other a long time, and I remember you telling me like about your 9 to 5, like what type of jobs did you have that kind of geared you to entrepreneurship or volunteer work?
Before the music industry, my 9 to 5s were, oh man, I remember I did collections one time, customer service. Yeah, it was mainly collections and customer service, and I made it into recruiting, right? Which is kind of still customer service. You're still dealing with people. You're talking to them, trying to see if they're a good fit for whatever positions you have open. And then after getting into the music industry, I still had to work for a little while. I had to work at Susan G. Komen, which was a breast cancer foundation, where I was doing event coordination, was working with the artists when they had to perform. Then from there, Spotify. So before I even got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can do this on my own, I still had to work the 9 to 5 to still build up knowledge and confidence. So when I was able to get the same clients or workload that they got, I would know how to be able to work as efficiently.
Okay. And I wanted to also ask you, growing up, I knew a few people who took the path of entrepreneurship, right? And, my age, I'm in my 40s. And back then, I knew a few millionaires, right? Who entrepreneurship was their path to becoming a millionaire. And I only probably knew, like, on one hand, I could probably count it. Today, everybody wants to be the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musk. And there are so many entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurship, what I noticed is that, you know, sometimes the thought process is, oh, you became an entrepreneur at 20. But at what age would you say that you became an entrepreneur, like fully involved in it?
Fully involved. I mean, I think the entrepreneur is like what they say that in life, the student is always a teacher and the teacher is always a student, right? So
Okay.
I think like, yeah, I think like right now it's so cool for people to say because of social media, because of all these other platforms that allow you to open up and do things that you didn't think were possible before. You can say, hey, I want to design hats. Let me Google it and do it. Hey, I want to make shoes. Hey, I want to start my own record label. So there's information out there that actually shows you how to do it, but it doesn't really show you it'll show you the ups, but it doesn't really show you the downs.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm still learning as I go along because it's really about having a responsibility to understand that this is your business. No matter what happens, it's up to you, if you're the CEO, to make sure it's run correctly. Like when I take vacation days, there's no, I have to plan that, right? Like if you work for a corporate 500 company or whatever, then they're gonna, yeah, you can take 6 days off and you're gonna get paid time off. No, I need to make sure when I come back, my job is in a position to where I have that revenue stream still flowing correctly. You know, what time of where am I positioning myself? Like in this particular year, what are the sales like, right? Is it towards Christmas where I know business is going to drop, or can I afford to do that, or should I do it the top of the year, right? Mm-hmm. So all these things go into it, and I'm still learning myself the most efficient way to run a business that's going to be successful. And there's a lot of things that I'm learning every day, and I'm taking in so I can make my business better. So I would say, yeah, I'm still learning. I'm not going to say I'm to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a master yet, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm still learning the ins and outs of it. But I am running a good, sufficient business.
Okay, that's good, because I don't want people to think that, okay, if you didn't start at 20, you can't be an entrepreneur, because some people start late in life and become successful.
Yeah, I think it really just depends. I mean, there's different stories, right? There's people that it takes forever for them to get off. And there's some people where they're like, listen, this is making money and I can do this by myself and I don't need anybody else. And I can run it from my house, run it from my room, build on that. And there's some people that, hey, can wake up at 60 years old and say, listen, I have something that I think like I can, a service I think that I could provide and I could do myself, that I can generate money off of, and I can offer these services to people that want to put a dollar amount on actually getting it. So I don't think it's any age group or any age cap. I think it's, if you really want to go into it and you understand what you have, you can go ahead and proceed to do it.
So you heard that out there. You could start at any age, okay? So I think we talked about that. People sometimes think that when you go into entrepreneur, it's like poof, like, you're winning. And that's not always the case, right?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And it's going to take a while because it's something that you want to do. So you have to realize that, it's the onus is on you to take the responsibility to put in the extra time and effort to make it happen. Yeah, it's definitely time consuming. And I think I might be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think they say the turnaround of an independent business is like the first 4 to 5 years before you really start seeing income coming in. Mm-hmm. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen businesses start, do great, and I've seen businesses fail because they really don't. They say, hey, I'm different. Everybody's going to love my idea, and they don't have the work ethic and the knowledge to go, and the discipline also. You have to be very disciplined to be an entrepreneur. It's not as easy as they put out on social media or the internet. And the discipline is the main thing that I see that gets a lot of people and why some businesses fail.
Now, Jamila, who's a friend of both of ours, she runs in Bermuda a radio show called Mind Your Business, right? And I think one of the things that probably holds up a lot of entrepreneurs is not the business of the business, meaning making sure your paperwork is in order. You know what I'm saying? And I think too, entrepreneurs, we have the excitement and the drive, like, oh, I have this great idea, but also taking care of the business of the business. So talk about even that.
Yeah, I mean, I was like that at first when I had the idea. And somebody, I think that in order for us to, and you and I talked about this before, in order for you to really be successful doing this, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And I have to have those uncomfortable conversations with people to say, hey, I love your idea, but this is not going to work if you do it like this. Like, yeah, this is dope.
We have.
You got to get your attorney to do the right paperwork. You got to make sure your taxes are correct. You got to make sure this is right. You have to make sure that if you're going to be operating on these particular guidelines, this is what your business structure is. You got to make sure that if you have people that work for you, that, you know, here's all the things that need to happen. And then it's the structure. So for me, I had to sit down and really listen to people that were like, if you're going to do this, after you get through the honeymoon stage of the startup, and say, look, this is what you're going to have. Your business is right here. And for you to take it to the next level, these are the things you need to implement if you're going to call yourself an entrepreneur and you're really going to do this, like if you really plan on doing this for the rest of your life.
So let me ask you a question. Was your business, did you have your business pre-pandemic, or was it during the pandemic, and how did you pivot?
That's a great question. I actually got my record deal, publishing deal from Sony in January of 2020. And, you know, everything shut down February of 2020. So for me, being that I'm in the music industry, it's based on emotions, it's based on passion and feeling. And, you know, that's what we're talking about. Your first love, your favorite dish, you know, things that are on your mind, stress, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't want to be the person that came out and said, by the way, we're in a pandemic. Guess what? I got a damn deal. You know, I felt like I needed to wait. So actually, that rewarded me the time to sit back and set everything up, because when we came out of the pandemic, I was going to be able to move in the way I wanted to move. So I was able to take that time and use that time to really structure my business correctly, so that when the pandemic started, you know, dying, well, we're still in the pandemic, of course. Yeah. Slowed down a little bit. I was able to launch. So it was always on my mind, but for me, it was just gathering information and making sure I do it the correct way. So when I put it out there, I wouldn't be able to take it back or have to worry about fixing anything.
And let me ask you this. I think you're a very talented person. I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders. But let me ask you, why music?
I didn't choose music. Music chose me.
What?
Yeah, I didn't plan to do and be in the music industry. I had a lot of friends that, and you know this, I had a lot of friends that I grew up with that are very successful in the music industry these days, to this day. And they sitting down talking to them. You know, I said I worked for Susan G. Komen doing that, and that was in music. Then I wanted to work for Spotify, and then it just opened other doors, other lanes. So in my mind, when those lanes started opening up, I was like, okay, I'm going to attach myself to them and see where it goes. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would have been an executive with a publishing company and then a distribution company with Sony, I would have told you that that's not the field I want to go to. But I don't think I think a lot of people, I'm blessed to be in this field. It's been very lucrative for me and it's made me happy. And, you know, again, yeah, I didn't choose it. I didn't choose it. And I think that all the time, it happened to choose me.
And I'm going to start asking this question to most people that I do have a conversation with, right? Did you use the tool of manifestation to get to where you are now, or even in the past?
No, I did not use the tool of manifestation. And that's kind of like a trick question, because I guess at first I didn't think I did, but now understanding manifestation a little bit more, I think I was like, okay, this is where I want to go. So I probably didn't manifest that in my life. You and I've talked before, and I'm the type of person that walks by faith and not by sight. And I'm like, hey, even with the music thing, I was like, hey, this is the path I'm going to go. I'm just going to go, and wherever it leads me is going to lead me, and I just have to sacrifice and be all in. But now thinking about it and learning more about the power of manifestation, I do think that I probably did manifest some of those things because those are things that I prayed on, that I asked for, right? And they were delivered to me. So yeah, I can say it played a lot in there as well. I'm learning more about it though.
Yes, I plan on doing a show on manifestation, but I've done a lot of research, and the Bible has so many quotes about manifestation that is like crazy. But you know, certainly.
I'm learning more, but like I said, you helped to open my eyes with that. You asked me a question before, and I would say that yes, I do things now, understanding more.
Okay.
A lot of things are manifested in my life.
And can you give me a good or a bad example of or experience that you've had that you can share about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, like I said, for me, I'm brutally honest with myself, and I think that's the only way that, you know, if you can't lie to yourself, especially when it's your business. You know, you have it on books, be honest. One person you can't lie to yourself, and I said it before. For me, it's about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's the only way you grow. So I understand. That's what I would tell anybody. Like, when you're going to do this business, you're going to have to take the ups and the downs, right? You're going to, and not just do it your way. Research, understand how startups are run, understand what kind of business you're in. Get people around you, not people that have their own businesses that say my business is doing great, but people that can show you and guide you with the tools that you need, whether it's attorneys, whether it's CPAs, right? Whether it's somebody talking about insurance, whatever it is, make sure you surround yourself with those particular people, because you want to have the subject matter experts and the experts around you, so your business can grow as well.
Okay. And what is any advice that you could give to a new entrepreneur?
Just go for it. Believe in what you believe and go. But understand there's going to be hardships, right? There's going to be hardships, as is in anything in life. There's going to be ups and downs. But, you know, hey, go for it. You know, they're saying like these days, there's more entrepreneurs. And I even read an article the other day where a lot of people are surpassing college and saying, I'm just going to bet on myself. I'm going to do this. There's so many avenues where you can make money now. Again, we talked about social media, all these platforms, which you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have YouTube channels, you have all these other things that people are learning, and they're taking the craft and they're doing it themselves. So if you're going to do it and you feel like you could be lucrative at it, definitely go for it.
And my last question to you is, you said your mom taught you about entrepreneurship. So do you plan on teaching your children about entrepreneurship?
I think, my mom, coming from Jamaica, again, was taught visually. And, I think, and this, Jamaicans have a very hard work ethic.
Yes.
Anybody that knows that, they always laugh and say they got 5-6 jobs, right?
That's right.
And, the funny part is, like, we don't see nothing wrong with that. Like, that's where you're supposed to be if you want to work hard to a West Indian. But yeah, for us, I do plan on doing that. I do plan on passing it down. I plan on having them there so they can see, this is what happens, and teaching them the ins and outs. So maybe they won't go through some of the things I went through as an entrepreneur, and it'll be a little bit easier and run better by the time they get of age.
That's very good. So I am going to make sure that I link all of Dre's contacts below, but could you tell everybody what's your contact? How could they reach you at all platforms?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's I am Dre, the URL. And on LinkedIn, it's andre_Williams.
Okay, there it is. And we gotta go. Bye.